Hello. So, in the comments in my video for about the lycanthrope vein stuff for the Harmony shop, like whether or not lycanthrope veins are worth it. A lot of people are asking if I should do like a ranking, like because I mentioned that equipment like beyond like a certain point's kind of lower priority, and someone wanted me to like talk about like what's the most important things to focus on for heroes. So we're going to talk about it. So generally speaking, if you want to focus on heroes, like, this might sound counterintuitive, but you actually don't focus on your heroes. You focus on your pets. Pets, pets, pets. This is your number one priority. Pets. It's all about pets. Developing heroes is all about developing your pets more than it is about developing any individual hero. Pets are by far the most important thing because, one, they add a whole lot of stats, but more importantly, these patron bonuses are very, very big deal. And like I said, this right here, getting that bonus energy for like a hero like Aurora is so game changing. The extra damage for like Albus, for example, could be huge. The speed boost for like a mage could be huge. Also, this is the only pet that increases magic penetration, so that can also be a big game changer for some heroes. Some heroes don't have very much magic penetration naturally, like Helios, so this could be a big deal for them. Axel, like I said, his patronage ability blocks defensive blood, prevents your one-shots. So this is really good versus like Jew or Kark or like Dante, etc. Like this can protect against one-shot kills. So this is a very good ability. Like this is game-changing. Biscuit, like if you get him to Violet Rank, he has a status of, inflicts a status effect 100% of the time just to Violet Rank. And this is game changing because this can be really good versus Ode to Serenity to kind of counter Sebastians. Like, this is really powerful. Like, this ability, just like I said, I mean, the actual effect is not that good. It's just the fact that it can be used to counter Sebastian makes this worthy. This is a really good ability, like, because it greatly increases the duration of status effects. You can increase it to 300%. So Thea's Vow of Silence, for example, silences for 3 seconds. With Mara Patron to her, if it's maxed out, it can now silence for 9 seconds. Mara Patron is very good for like any of these status effect heroes like Thea, Arachne, Isaac, etc. Like she's just really powerful. Like these kind of abilities right here. This is like pets are just such a big deal. Oliver gives a hero regen. This is really good on tanks. This can make a hero really hard to kill. This is why Celeste is so good, because you need to try to stop that healing somehow. Like I said, these kinds of abilities are game changing like that. So this is by far the most important thing. And your pets, like I said, the other things, the pets are modular. You can move around as much as you want, and like on your heroes, like you can go set up a fight and you can change your pets as much as you want. They're modular, so like if you invest a bunch in a pet, like you can always just move that pet to a different hero. Like, so you spend a bunch on Oliver. Maybe you're using Astaroth for now, but you're not sure if that's what you want. So you spend a bunch on Oliver. Rather than spend on Astaroth, you just invest your resources in Oliver. Oliver will make Astaroth a better tank, but then maybe you move away from Astaroth. You can now put Oliver on your new tank, and you said all the investment you spent on Oliver wasn't wasted. Whereas if you invested in Astaroth and stopped using Astaroth, all those resources essentially wasted. So pets are by far the number one priority, and it's a pretty big gap between pets and the number 2 priority. Number 2 priority is actually the equipment up to Violet +2. So you go to Violet +2. Like right here, this is about where equipment is really the most important. Like beyond here, equipment isn't as valuable. There's diminishing returns, and the energy costs start getting a lot higher. But the other thing is that you have, like, heroes have skills. Right, you want to get to Violet +0 to unlock their 4th skill. Most of them are passive. Not all of our 4 skills are passive, but you need to be Violet rank to get the 4th skill. And a lot of times the 4th skill is the best skill or one of the best skills for that hero. Like Zenith, for example, is game changing. Rainbow Halo gives Aurora the best magic mitigation in the game. This allows his ult to do damage on Isaac. Changes how Nebula, like Nebula is good because of this ability. So getting to Violet's a big deal, and then getting to Violet +2 is what unlocks your glyphs. This one unlocks, like I said, this glyph unlocks with Violet, this one unlocks with Violet +1, and this one unlocks Violet +2. If we go to one of my low-end heroes, we can probably see this. See? You have to promote a hero blue to unlock the first 2 glyphs, then Violet +1, Violet +2. So gear to Violet +2 is very important. Like I said, should definitely be a focus. After you get to Violet +2, though, gear is not as much of a focus. So the third most important thing for most heroes is artifacts. And this is because artifacts can add like big team buffs for like 9 seconds most cases. Though Celeste is 4.5 seconds, but she only uses half energy to ult. So artifacts are a big deal. They also add generally pretty good stats. Compared, like I said, this is like two more. Like this is like this is like a more than a skin. This is pretty much like 2 skins, because it's more than a dodge skin, but it's not quite a health skin. So, and this is a whole lot of primary stats. Primary stats is what protects you from critical hits and allows you to hit can change your affect your 2-hit rate against heroes with dodge ability. So primary stats are always good. So these are, like I said, I'd say the third most important thing, especially the weapons for most heroes, because it allows you to greatly increase the combat effective, because the amount of you get from a maxed out artifact is amazing. Like these are huge numbers. Like these are a big deal. Like so the artifacts, big deal. There is an exception though. If a hero has ascension abilities, something like Thea, like if you go to a hero like Thea or Nebula, like you look, they have ascension abilities, right? They have these abilities. Like these abilities are a big game changer for these heroes. And you actually, like if you have a hero, like if it's Nebula or Thea, Ascension becomes the third most valuable thing on that hero. I'd put Ascension before artifacts on the priorities for that hero. Like I said, Thea has one up here, like I said, and they also have ones at rank 5. Like these abilities are great, they're greatly game changing, make them a lot more powerful. So if you have a hero, if you're working on a hero like Thea or Nebula, or some of the other ones that have one of these abilities, Ascension is going to be the third highest priority, and this would go right above Artifacts, then Artifacts becomes 4th. But for most heroes, I'd say Artifacts is 3rd, and Ascension is a bit lower. For the 4th one, you want to do Glyphs. Like I said, Glyphs would be the next most important one, because Glyphs are a way to add a lot of stats fairly quickly. If you've been watching my other playthrough, like... it's pretty easy to get, like I said, it starts with level 30, so you could go do glyphs up till the 30 rank until, like, I think level 60, then you could do up to 40, and then I think at level 100 you could do 50, and that's what maxes out. But this is a lot of stats, and these are, glyphs are relatively, inexpensive, because you get so many runes per day from free. Just by being active in a guild or whatever and doing some quests, like you can get a lot of runes fairly easy. Like they're fairly low cost, fairly easily accessible, and you can add a lot of stats, especially to key important stats such as dodge or magic attack or magic penetration, relatively quickly and easily. So this would be your 4th most important thing for most heroes. And then after glyphs is going to be skins. Skins is another way to add like key stats. Like for like Aurora, you got dodge is going to be, like I said, most important one. That's a big game changer. You can add armor or health to a tank, or like I said, Aurora's really good with magic attack. You can add for like magic attack for your mages, magic penetration for some of them who have it. Like, well, Brackney's a warrior control, but she has a magic penetration skin. So this all adds up into, like I said, a lot of... So these are all very important. Like, so this is, I would say, the 5th most important theme for most heroes. And then 6th, this is Ascension for everybody else who doesn't have an ability. We'd go back to Ascension. Like, so for a hero like Aurora, Ascension adds a lot of stats. You can see it's like, this is kind of like getting 5 skins. Maxing Ascension has like 5 skins worth of stats. It's quite a bit. It's just said it does take quite to get the higher ones, but even the lower tier, like these ones are pretty low cost, and they add pretty decent stats for the relatively low cost of the first tier. Like, and you'll get a lot of these just like every week. Just by doing your raids and stuff. Like these ones, like I said, the first tier generally low cost. It does get a bit more expensive every tier and harder to get, but for most people, like I'd say this is going to be your 6th. I'd say for a lot of people, like this is going to be 6 because it gives you a lot of key stats, and it's fairly accessible. Like certainly you can get a big boost in stats just by focusing on like your main 3 heroes or whatever. With like your red crystals can go into your tank, maybe your green crystal go into like your support like Sebastian, your blue ones go into like a healer like Celeste, and you just kind of focus on that, and you could really like really greatly increase the combat effectiveness of like your main heroes. And then after Ascension, now this is where the higher level, I would say I'd recommend the higher level equipment. This will be the 7th most important thing. This is where you start going with the higher items. So you're back to orange. So, sorry, violet +3. This is, like I said, there's not a lot of benefits. It is important to note that you can't go to Ascension rank 4 until you get to orange. But and you can't go to Ascension Rank 5 till you get to Red, but by the time you're going towards Ascension Rank 4, you're probably already orange on the heroes you're focusing on. So I don't think that's a big note, but it is something to be aware of. That there is a, like I said, you do have to, like every tier of Ascension does correspond to gear. This is why, like I said, some might argue, like I said, you could probably make a case that equipment should be higher than Ascension, but I do think Ascension just a bit better value for the heroes who need it, because a lot of times, because sometimes the items had some really, really random stats for a lot of heroes that are like, whatever. Aurora has quite a few intelligence items on her grid, even though she's not made, but she does have a lot of, like, intelligence items. So she ends up with, like, fairly decent intelligence compared to, like, what you would expect. I mean, I guess not super high, but she does have some very specific intelligence items, which does give her intelligence a bit more than you'd like a lot of heroes. So, like I said, so I just think the stat increases generally for, like, the general relative cost is generally a bit better on Ascension, because you get diminished turns on the items, but you can make use of events like this one, and then buy the items you need. Like if you go to the shop and you buy the items you need, you decide you need those violet items, you need those orange items, you can then just buy the ones you need, and then add them to your inventory. Like take a note of what you need. Like I said, events like this does make it a bit more accessible than Ascension. But I do think, like I said, but generally speaking, like Ascension though, like there's not as many competition for the resources, like for most of them, like because you end up getting a bunch of different resources. So once you've got your hero to a certain rank, that's why I'd say Ascension's above equipment. But then we get to like the bottom of the stuff, like souls. I would put it 8th. This is like being an absolute star. It matters for your tank. It matters a lot less for your non-tanks. Like just between a 3-star hero or a 4-star hero or a 5-star hero or an absolute star hero. Not that big of a deal. It helps, adds some stats. It's not that much of a game changer. If your steer hero is only 4 or 5 stars, in most cases that's not going to matter too much. And I wouldn't worry too much about it. But it does help to get them evolved. But I wouldn't lose sleep over it. And then 9th, we're going to put the Great Tree of Wisdom. This is very far down on the list. Great Tree of Wisdom. These are just kind of like as a byproduct of Ascension. Like you'll get the crystals for leveling up in the Ascension Sire, which can then be used to level up your tree branches. The stats on this are usually not particularly impressive. Like there's also, a lot of times you get a lot of stats that are pretty useless. Like physical attack, I mean, it's not that impressive on Aurora. Aurora doesn't really need magic defense. Armor's not particularly great on her since she mostly relies on dodge. She doesn't have enough armor anyway. So this is mostly just health and magic attack, and the magic attack's low. So the stat gains, a lot of times in the roll branch, are unimpressive for a lot of heroes. So they're just kind of like a byproduct, just like I said, focus on, like most people just focus on the support branch, because that's generally the best one, because you need the support heroes. But I wouldn't worry too much about tree branch. That's very low priority. Don't go out of your way to really like level it up. It's why I don't worry about the seeds. People worry a lot about getting these seeds or whatever. Just get them from the raid. Don't worry about trying to get a whole lot of seeds. Like you'll get them out just by playing, by getting them beating the raid boss every week. You'll just get them. Like don't sweat it. You'll get plenty. And then the very bottom, the very least important thing for progression is going to be your sparks. Like sparks do not add a whole lot of stats. Like even maxed out, this is 720 to their main stat and 360 to the other stats. Like these gains are very unimpressive. Like so, this is definitely the lowest priority for progression. But yeah, pets are what really matters. To learn more about pets, please check the video below. Thank you.